Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Kit Bash Kitchen. My name is Bruce, and today's project we are going to be making a dessert known as Tulip Pie. Tulip Pie was originally invented by a restaurant in a small tourist trap town in Michigan called Frankenmuth. The pie would appear on the menu at the restaurant during the spring months of the year, and it leverages a coconut cookie crust. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the coconut cookie recipe, so we will be kit bashing our way to achieving the same result. The coconut cookies, from my recollection, were made from coconut, graham flour, with orange flavoring and some orange icing on top, all held together with probably butter and food glue, otherwise known as an egg in some circles. So we're going to kit bash our way there by leveraging sweetened coconut along with something that's going to happen during the pie's manufacturing process that will add a little additional flavor and color to it. And I'll point that out to you later on in the episode.
Here's a close-up shot of a finished slice of tulip pie. As you can see, there are 4 distinct layers. Working from the bottom up, we have our coconut cookie crust. Above that, we have our pineapple cream cheese layer. Above that, we have a raspberry layer. And finally, the pie is frosted with whipped cream. So let's go over our ingredients, starting with our crust in a bag of sweetened coconut flakes at 12 to 14 ounce bag. 1 stick of unsalted butter, or 4 ounces at room temperature. Then we'll move on to our cream cheese layer at 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese, 2 ounces of additional butter for which we will melt, a ½ cup of confectioner's sugar, and a ½ cup of crushed pineapple. And for our raspberry layer, we have 3 ounces of gelatin, a ½ teaspoon of extract, 1½ cups of water, and a ½ cup of juice from our pineapple. Lastly, we will frost the pie with whipped cream. So before we start putting together our crust, we want to make sure our oven rack is in the lower third of the oven, and then set the oven for 350 degrees Fahrenheit. To make our crust, we will first start with our stick of butter at room temperature, for which we will drop into the bowl once for good luck. And then we will add our 12 to 14 ounces of sweetened coconut flakes to that. And then it gets a little messy as we turn this into a dough of sorts by evenly distributing it. Once we have a workable dough, we will then transfer this to our pie dish and work it into the shape of a pie crust. The thing to note of importance here is that the harder you press the dough into the pie dish, the more firm the resulting pie crust becomes. This is important when it comes time to serve the pie, because it's usually harder to cut it using your typical pie service set. I recommend using a really sharp knife to cut the slices instead. We then bake our crust in our preheated oven for 10 to 15 minutes, covering the edges with foil to prevent overbrowning if necessary. After about 15 minutes or so of baking, our crust is now complete. We will take it out of the oven, and as you can see, I had to apply some foil to keep the edges from over browning. We'll simply just remove that foil and allow the crust to cool.
So now that we're happy with our toasted crust, we need to wait for it to cool. And in an effort to speed things up, I will now engage in the official speed cool dance. So I have to apologize. The speed cool dance, I was informed by the editors, is actually a trade secret, and I'm not allowed to put it on video. Especially that part about me standing on my head and juggling the steak knives with my feet. As entertaining as it was, it couldn't make it into the final cut. But now that our pie crust is cool, we can move on to the next layer, which is our cream cheese and crushed pineapple layer.
So to make our cream cheese layer, we will start with our 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. Then we will add 2 ounces of the unsalted butter we just melted in the microwave. And to that we will add our ½ cup of confectioner's sugar. At this point, you would also add in 1/2 teaspoon of pineapple extract if you can get it. I was unable to get any in suitable quantities for home use, only commercial use. So they sell it in quantities like a quart or more for an outrageous sum of money. You don't need it. The pie tastes very good without it. So we just blend this until it's smooth, and then we add in our 1/2 cup of crushed pineapple and fold it in and get it until it's well coated. We then transfer the mixture onto our cooled pie crust. And with Mickey's help, we smooth this out into an even layer. And once we're happy with this layer, we will return the pie to the refrigerator until we have the third layer prepared to pour over the top of it.
So at this point, you're probably asking yourself, why did I let Bruce convince me to buy such a large can of crushed pineapple if I only needed 1/2 cup? Well, give yourself a second. The reason is you were probably thinking of a well-balanced snack for your family for this afternoon. And if you weren't, you are now. So take full credit for it, and I won't tell anyone. But in addition to your well-planned meal planning skills, there's another reason. The other reason is that we needed to ensure that we got at least 1/2 cup of juice so that we can use that juice with our gelatin. The juice will be the secret ingredient because pineapple juice deprecates the gelling process. So we're going to create a layer that is not quite gelatin, not quite meringue. It's going to be something in between. And there's probably a very good French culinary term to describe what we're going to make, but it escapes my vocabulary. Either way, that's what we're going to do. And let's get started on making the next layer.
For our raspberry layer, we will start with 1/2 cup of pineapple juice, followed by 1/2 cup of water, and we will pour those into a medium saucepan and then add 1/2 teaspoon of raspberry extract. We will bring this mixture to just boiling. Now that it is just boiling, we will remove it from the heat and place it into a heat-safe bowl, and then add the gelatin and stir until it is completely dissolved. Once it is completely dissolved, we will add 1 whole cup of ice water, and then we will place this in the refrigerator and monitor the gelling process until it achieves the consistency of egg whites. We will then pour this over our previous layers, and then here is where that magic I told you about will occur. While our crust was in the oven, the butter melted, which opened up holes that our gelatin can now fill. This adds additional flavor to our crust, so now we'll just return this to the fridge and allow the gelatin to set as far as it can go. Now that our deprecated gelatin is fully set, we simply frost the pie with whipped cream. In my case, I'm using Cool Whip. Once we've completed frosting the pie, we will return it to the refrigerator until we're ready to serve it. When you're ready to serve it, I recommend cutting it with a sharp knife because the coconut crust can become quite rigid depending on how hard you press the mixture into the pie dish when you made it. And now with a simple spiral pattern here to spruce it up a little bit, our pie is ready to be shared with friends and family. Enjoy.
So if you don't have the energy or the time to make the coconut crust that we've shown here today, a graham cracker crust will make an equally tasty dessert, although it won't capture the essence of the original pie as well. But if you do go down that road, make sure you get a deep dish graham cracker crust so that all the other ingredients will fit. You can also explore changing out the flavor of gelatin. Lemon also works well. In fact, lemon was also a variation of the pie that they served at the Bavarian Inn as well. But if you do that, make sure that you call it daffodil pie. Otherwise, you'll bring down the wrath of the pie cops, and you don't want the wrath of the pie cops. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience or anything. So until next time, keep kit bashing in your kitchen, and we'll see you next time.